talking today, me and Caroline, Tech Infra. Sometimes we've had the question, are you the only ones that work with the development? No, we don't. We don't develop anything. Content, maybe, and specifications. We counted, there have been 15 different people contributing to this version.
Thomas,
of course.
move your microphone a little bit. It's rasping against your. There we go.
My color.
Yes, it should be better.
Yeah. So yeah, 15 different people contributing, not at 100%, of course, but there are a number of people contributing to this software. We're going to talk about the coming version 24.2. So that's going to be 24.2, so supporting 24. We are still releasing the versions for 23 and 22, and that should be done during December according to our plan. The agenda for today is Naviate profile setup. We're going to talk about how we can set up Naviate in a more simple way. We're going to look at setting default profile section styles for surfaces, copy corridor and corridor settings between corridors in the same drawing. We're going to look at Naviate pipe, view frames and sheet production tools, landscape, and Naviate traffic. So there are a few things to cover today. We are going to have detailed webinars coming up, especially around view frames and around traffic, but we'll talk more about that as we go along. So any questions you have, please use the questions pane. We might answer them there or in wording as well. So first thing, profile setup. So we've had requests on simplifying the Naviate startup. Naviate today always starts with its own setup. A lot of the customers we see in the list today have their own startups. So you want to combine different startups and have your own things in there. And that's quite often a tedious job. So in this version, there's going to be a tool, profile configuration tool, that you can select to install. When that one is installed, any non-Naviate setup or startup will load another Naviate ribbon. So if you start the metric or any other civil startup, you're going to get a Naviate ribbon, and that one only has the profile setup. And when you click that one, you will get this dialog. And so this allows us to configure Naviate into any startup you have. If you only have one language installed, you actually just need to click OK. If you don't want to change anything in here. So it's as simple as that. Let's look at what these possibilities are. I know that a few of you, I'm going to be a bit technical here now. We're going to be try to be kind of effective. We're going to get to the juicy bits soon, but this is to the technical guys that want to be able to control this. So let's go through what these things are. Naviate support folder in the dialog. That is where Naviate support files are stored for different commands. So it can be settings for corridor, settings for pipe, settings for landscape, for traffic. They are in this support folder. You can move it if you want to a user directory or switch between languages. Naviate assembly folder is the standard folder for our command import assemblies. Language folder, that's the folder for different languages. Some languages have some different settings, and so yeah, so that one is maybe has some differences between the languages. Quite important thing is the Naviate toolbar, especially for Swedish, Norwegian, Finnish, where we have toolbars. Tool palettes. So we have developed a functionality to be able to import them into the current profile. We use something called XPG files. It's just to right-click in your tool palette and export, and you can create those XPG files. So you can actually create your own and add that into this folder and add them into the script that lies there, and we can import them as well. So we can actually help you manipulate or handle your tool palettes. We can configure the current profile, as we see down here, and create a backup profile. We do not recommend to use metric. We recommend to create a copy so you have something, but it is possible to configure the current profile, or you create a new profile with either the default name or another name, and optionally a desktop icon or shortcut. Any questions? No. Some advanced settings. We have customers that want to share, for instance, landscape settings or corridor settings across the organization. You can then use shared support folder. So it's very easy. You click advanced, you enter the folder that should be shared. And this means that Naviate will find all files in here before it looks in that folder. So we can move the stuff we want to share into this folder, and that's going to be the prioritized folder. Shared assemblies folder is also for the import assemblies tool. So sometimes you want to share assemblies across a network or OneDrive. It's also possible to configure this one here. Subassembly folder, it's just for those who use our subassemblies, Naviate subassemblies. This is the runtime called Subassembly Studio, which needs to be in there, and you can point to that one as well, or and you can also set the main executables folder if you for any reason want to move those that are in our beta program can then access and set up beta startup as well using this tool. So very technical for you administrators or so that want to have more information about this tool. You're welcome to reach out to me or Caroline. No questions, Caroline, or no?
Nope.
Okay, all clear.
Yes.
So I know that some of you out there, as I see, we have talked about this too. So hopefully it fulfills your needs. So over to some juicy bits, and this one I also saw. Thomas, you're on the call. This is your request. So profile and section styles can be a tedious thing because when you create profile in sections, you need to set the style for each of the profiles and sections you generate. And especially when you use data shortcuts, you've got to set them up when you create new profiles and which style should you use and so. So we got this question, so we started to create a new command. So the solution to this we say is style by surface, new command here. So it means we need to set up which colors, which styles, and so for each profile and section or surface. So what we do is we have a tool that defines or sets the profile and section style for each surface. So we define it by surface instead of by profile and section. These settings follow data shortcut surfaces. So if you set that in your original surface or drawing, it's going to come to where you use it as a data shortcut. So all you need to do then is run the command style by surface in the reference drawing. I'll try to show this now. So let's see. We'll pop over to this one here. This drawing here I have preset. So we can notice that I have profile views, I have section views, everything is black. I have a number of surfaces, existing ground, datum, top. This is the existing ground. We can notice that that one has a property set where everything has been set up. I'm going to go through how we do this, but I'm going to start off by just showing how we can update this. So the purpose is I start this command, I select all of the surfaces, I click OK, and you notice that the surface style changed, all styles change in the section view and in the profile view. So how did this magic happen? So I'll go back to the standard drawing from the start. So now nothing is set in this one. If I select that surface, we will see there is no property set on that. So I need to set this up. I start the style by surface command. We can use multiple property sets, but there is a standard one applied here. So now I want to set up the settings. So what happens here is that it imports the property set from the drawing or from the support files. So I now have this property set inside my drawing. I don't need to have it in the beginning. I'll start by editing existing ground. And I can select the styles. So what happened actually when we imported this property set, we also scanned all surface styles, all profile styles, and the section styles in the drawing. So they are now available in the property set dropdowns. So I select border and contours for surface. I select existing ground for profile style and existing ground for section style. Notice that there are different setups in section and profile depending on what I had in this drawing. I do the same for datum. If I don't want to change anything or a certain style, I let that one be the dash or leave it with the dash. So datum, surface as profile style and also as section style. I'll continue to the top surface. That one I want to have finished ground and finished ground. Okay. So I could also select OK now. Down here you see I can select to update surface, profiles, or sections if I want to run the command through the dialog. But I wanted to show what happened now was that the property set, as you see, was added there. Now if I run this command we have here, update all without dialog, everything is updated according to these settings. And the beauty here now is that this, as we said, it's a property set, and this comes along with the data shortcut. So it just works. And if you update the surface, it's going to work as well. I'm glad you liked it, Thomas. Okay. moving on. No questions, no? I think it's going to save a lot of time for quite a few in using that workflow. So, corridor tools. Two new things. Copy corridor is a new command. You can use this command to copy, move, or merge corridors. And you can select baselines and regions to move or copy between a new corridor or an existing corridor. You see the UI here. I can select which corridor, which baseline and region, if I want to move or copy the selected regions, and if I want to move it to a new or an existing corridor. Together with this, we also changed our existing command corridor setup to allow selection of current file, which means we can copy settings between different corridors in the same drawing. I hope you know that we've had this command for quite a while. Ability to copy frequency, surfaces, slope patterns, and so from a template corridor, which Civil added a few versions ago. I want to point out two things that separates us from them. We can work, we've always been able to work on deref corridors, which the Civil tool doesn't. And now here as well, we can do copy stuff between different corridors as well in the same drawing. Next step, as Caroline recently suggested, was also copy targets between different corridors. And that's one thing we're gonna look into. So let's try to go over to see that. I think I'll be in that one. I'll undo. So let's see, come on. I'm just going to undo the changes I did there. So in this drawing, I have a corridor, corridor 1. I have two corridor surfaces, datum and top. So let's see. Copy corridor. I don't select anyone, but I select here instead. I only have one corridor. We see it has two regions. I'm not going to say I'm going to move that region, move, not copy, over to a new corridor, corridor 2. Okay. The yellow thing here is the corridor surface. So we can see now that when I copy from one corridor to another, or move the regions, that surface, of course, now reflects corridor 1, which has lost one region. So that's why this yellow surface here only applies for the first region now. Now let's try to use the corridor settings tool on the new corridor 2. Let's select the current file and select corridor 1 and say I want to copy these two surfaces from corridor 1 to corridor 2. I can of course do that with slope patterns, code set styles, frequency, and so as well. I do OK. Now we see we have two surfaces, corridor 2 datum, corridor 2 top in there as well. Finally, let's do a merge. So now I select everything in corridor 1, target, move over to corridor 2. Corridor 1 disappears because it's now empty and the surfaces are gone. So now merge. So with this tool, copy, move, merge. We have one limitation, and that is that the API does not allow us to create feature line based baselines. So right now it's only possible to copy feature line baselines over to another curve. We cannot merge. We believe that the next version is going to allow us to do that. We've seen news in the API for that. Okay. Another road news is curve returns. So this command has existed a while. It's a predefined curve return template tool. So we've predefined combinations of radiuses. What's happened here is that we've simplified the workflow a little bit. It now creates connected alignments. So we have an option down here. And you're able to edit in the list here radius, length, deflection, and deflection angle. And to try to explain this, we see down here that the radius 100, you see the length L, you see the D. So D is the deflection angle, the angle that the curve has here compared to the straight line. So that's the angle that it has there compared to the line. Deflection is the distance. If we would draw a straight line there and measure between those two, that's going to be the deflection. So it's just, you can modify these things to make them match your requests. Yes. Next thing I want to cover is the view frame tools that we have been working on for a while, and we've added new functionality now. First, it's a non-alignment based plan production tool. Civil's tool requires an alignment to follow. Quite often we get the request to be able to add them manually to maybe already have a layout and so. So let's start by defining a view frame. A Naviate view frame is a block or a polyline with the NV view frame property set added. And for your knowledge, next Tuesday, 12th December, there is a detailed webinar on this. So go into our web page, naviate.com, and it's, what is it, insights or?
Yes, under insights, and then I will show you a little bit where it is.
Yep. Okay, so please join that one for more detail. Today I'm just going to be show a very rapid demonstration of the new tools. The view frame tool has three major workflows. You can insert view frames from a plan production template or block. I'll show later what this is. So you place the view frames individually to cover your site or your pipe network. So this is trying to, these are four different view frames. So you can insert them in any order you wish. You rotate them one by one and so. Second workflow is insert a view frame from a plan production template or block and use the array function that we have to cover your design with an array. So this is 2 rows, 3 columns of view frames. And this is what I'm soon going to show. The third option is that you have predefined in a drawing maybe view frames that are probably blocks or polylines. and then you use the feature we have to add property set and enumerate each of the view frames. So we can do all of these three workflows. And quickly, these are the new commands: create view frame array, renumber array if you remove stuff, and select view frames. So these are in here. Let's do a demo of this. So I think I'll be in that one. Okay, so on the Naviate ribbon, Naviate Sheet Tools, those have existed there. These are, I think all of them are new, Caroline, right? Yeah, I think so. So let's start with the create view frame. So I have the three different options here. I'm going to use layout from a template. So this is exactly the same as Civil has. You select a plan production tool, and now that one was pointing to the wrong folder because I was in that one just now. So in the plan production tools, I select the template file I want to use. In there are a number of layouts. I'm going to pick one. I'm running Imperial now, and select the plan view. There's only one view put in there. It's the plan view. Okay. So we can work with plan and profile. Right now we're just doing plan. I can set a view frame group name maybe. We see its viewport name plan, can be profile section overview and so on. I'm going to add a schedule, which is a label sort of. And if I want to create an array, I will click this one here. Then I only can insert one view frame. Right now, I'm not going to tick that one. I'm going to take it in 2 steps to be able to show. So I'm dragging the size of that viewport in that selected scale, picking the position, rotating it, and I can keep positioning until I'm happy. Okay, that's where I want to start. And then I insert the label. And then I can insert next one. And as you see, I can just continue like this. And then I accept. This was to show the manual insertion of single view frames. I'm going to remove those two. And as I said, if I would have ticked the array button, what would have happened is that after I placed this one, it would have come to this dialog. So this is the array functionality. I can now, as you see, zoom while I'm setting this one up. So if I want to have 5 columns or 3 columns, you can see that I can change this in this dialog. I can also move using X and Y scroll here. Or if I rather want to pick, I can pick a position like that. Let's do a little bit more change because I want it to look something like that. Okay. When I'm happy with the positioning, also notice that if you zoom in more, it's going to move smaller steps. If I zoom in larger or out larger, it's going to take larger steps. So maybe something like that. I'll turn on create match lines. Now the match lines and match labels, this one here, it's a schedule, appears. So we can change and have different predefined labels and sizes. Hatch, we do not preview. It takes a lot of time. So we do like this instead. When you're happy with the layout, we click OK. Notice that we have a layer preview there. So we add things on different layers. Then I can remove. So now it says remove or select the view frames you don't want to have. So I'm going to remove the 2 first ones and the 2 last ones. And now it renumbers everything. So it's an irregular array. So now I have those, and at the end we select all hatches. Now we can change the size or even the pattern if we have wrong settings here. So let's do 50 instead. Oh, there. Okay, so. And over to here. When I inserted this frame, I had an option to insert the layout at the same time as I inserted the view frame. So that was the layout I selected. It was automatically inserted. I can deselect that if I want. Let's look at the sheet creation. Create sheets. So I'm in the layout. This was the one I imported. If I now click one of the layouts and click preview, you'll see it zooms that one. That one was in the beginning. I'll go to next one, and you can see it keeps zooming those. So this is previewing. Let's say I want to create these 3 or 4 sheets. Now I already created those. Now 1, 2, 3, yeah. So go from 4 then. Create sheets. So now it creates each of these. I now selected to do them in the same drawing. I can also have a number of layouts per new drawing, and I can add to sheets and a lot of things. As I said, we're going to go through these details on Tuesday and look at all workflows and all possibilities in this feature. It's got a lot of features. Anything to add, Caroline?
No, I added links to the webinar in the chat so that you can access them directly, and I'll show you just a bit where they are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think I'm done. Over to you.
Done. Over to me. So yeah. I will take over to Caroline. Yes, that is things in place. So I'm going to make myself presenter, and then I'm going to show my Civil. I'm hoping you see my Civil 3D. Yes, good. So let's just first start by going to our naviate.com. Under Insights, as we said, and then under Webinars is where you'll find the recordings of all the webinars that we do. If we filter on Naviate for Civil 3D, we can see the new in traffic and then the Naviate Sheet Tools. And of course, also today's release webinar. So here you also find the recordings of all the webinars that we do. So, but here you can sign up for them. So for the Sheet Tools, we're going to go through all the details on Tuesday, and then traffic will be in January, is the plan. So I have traffic on my list. I'm going to show you a little bit about what is new there, but I'm not going to focus on it because everything will go through in January. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to start with a very small PowerPoint here. We're going to go up to our pipes. So we have 4 main things that we worked on with the pipes. We have 2 new functionalities. We have rename pipe by structure, where we can rename the pipes by the connected structures. We have a modify single pipe that we had requested from customers to. We have had the modify multiple pipes for a while, but we also want to do a modify single where we can sort of just access one pipe at a time. And then we have create pipe bend that I think some of you have already seen, where we can create pipe bends at specified angles and lengths. When it comes to rename pipe by structure, it is a very simple tool. It simply renames the pipes by the structure at start and end with a optional prefix, a suffix, and interfix. So it goes through the whole network and just renames the pipes. So it makes more sense on what the name they have. So that one is a part, I'll show you where it is, but it's a part of the rename functionalities that we have. Modify single pipe, where we can edit pipe slope, elevation, cover, and also drop. But it affects the pipes automatically. So it actually updates as soon as you change stuff in this dialog. So it's a very, very simple way of just going through your pipe networks. I'm going to show you this in just a little bit. So this is just an overview, so you know what you're going to see in a few minutes. The update that we did for modify multiple pipes, we did some bug fixes as well, but the main thing is that we can now select pipes upstream as well, which I know that we have had customers through the years have been asking. They want to select it the other way. So actually what we're doing is if you select the pipes the wrong way or upstream, it's going to ask you that it seems to be from the end to start, so you want to reverse the selection. So you can just tick yes, and if you always do it like that, you can say remember my choice, and it's going to remember how you select your pipes, and then just apply the whole thing there. So that was a quality of life update that we did in modify multiple pipes. And then we also have create pipe bend, and this is a way of creating, sort of simulating pressure pipe or simulating pipe that has bends instead of structures, and being able to create these at specified lengths while we're still working with gravity pipes. So that's the main thing here. So we're still working with gravity pipes, but we're creating these pipe bends inside here. So those were the 4 news that I had for pipes. I'm just going to show you 2 of these. So if we move over here, we're going to start with the create pipe bend. So here I have a pipe already created. This one is actually very specifically 12 meters long. So this is a meter drawing that I'm looking at. So for create pipe bend, we have it up here under the pipe plan. And when we start this functionality, you have to have a pipe already. That's why I had it already drawn, because you want to attach to that pipe. In this case, I have pipes with a break point, so I have a null structure in the end as well, so that's important. You get the pipe there. If I'm a little bit out, I can use the zoom functionality to sort of reposition myself, because I want to see what I'm doing while I use this dialog. So right now I want to do straight pipes, but I want to do a angular for. I'm going to do deflection. So the thing in here is that I have a pipe in length and I have pipe out length. So I want to do these at 12 meters. But right now I don't want to have any bends. So I just untick the bends and I can see directly what's happening in my plan. And then I'm going to do 0 degrees. So it's just going to show me 0 degrees. And again, if I feel like I want to sort of reposition myself, I have the zoom functionality, so I can go out and see that I want to see my whole thing. Because I actually know that I'm going to try and hit the end here. So I can use the pick button to say that, well, I want to I know where I want to end up. So I want to end up over here. And that means that I need to have a deflection of 4 degrees. So if I know that I have 4 degrees and I have almost 30 meters. So I know that I really don't want to do 4 degrees at once. So maybe I want to do 2 degrees, but I can do 12 meters. So 2 degrees, 12 meters, I'm going to do next, which means that it's going to create that pipe. It's going to zoom me forward. That's why I have the auto pan. And then I have 2 meters, 2 degrees again, 12 meters, and that's where I end up here. So it's going to create the pipes for me at the different angles that I have. So I'm going to create this one as well, do next, and it's going to jump forward. So here I know that I can't really go that far, so I want to do a 6 meters instead. That's fine. Actually, I want to do this 0, and then just going to do next. If I want to do a bend, I click bend. I'm going to do 90 degrees. So I'm going to change this to 90 degrees. And then I have the lengths of the bend's legs here that I want to do. So now if I do create, rather I want to change this one to 12 meters out again, because I know that I want to have a 12 meter out there. So I get 1 meter there, I get 12 meter there. Going to do next, and then I come back to the next part. So I can sort of move forward and create these objects always at the at the lengths that I have, at the slopes that I have as well. I haven't really talked about the slopes. It's actually adding them in the slopes. So if I want to have it at 0, I can do that. I can have everything at 0 and just move forward. I'm going to keep going like that. But I can create these things. So as soon as I do cancel, it's finished. And everything here is still gravity pipes. So we're still working inside gravity pipes with all the benefits that we have with the profile view and everything like that. Civil actually understands, even if these are 2 straight pipes, it's actually doing the bend. So it looks pretty good in the plan view here as well. But you'll notice here that I have this bend functionality, so I can see these different objects and see what they are. I can also use this to create a T, offshoot here. So if I do create pipe bend and I want to create a T, I select the 12 meters that I have here in the middle. So I want to place this in the middle. So actually the pipe in length in this case is going to be 6 meters because I want to place this in the middle. So I'm going to break up this pipe that I'm doing. I want to have I can do this in 2 ways. I tend to do this actually, not do any pipe out length. So if I do 0 here, and then I want to do a 0 straight ahead. So I'm just going to actually split this up. So if you take a look at the T, you actually have 3 parts that we want to do. So right now I'm just doing the 2 first parts. So I'm just going to make sure that I have the split here with these different lengths. I'm going to do create, and then it's going to create these 2 parts for me in this case. And then the second step, start the functionality again, and now I want to do the offshoot, which means that I'm going to select one of the short ones here in the middle, and then I'm not going to do a length in. I want to do it 90 degrees, and then I want to do a pipe out length. If I don't know, I know that I'm going to come up here because this is my house. So I'm going to do pick. I'm going to pick this one. I'm not going to do a snap. That means that I get about 5 meters here. And I want to change this one to 90 because I know that I want to do 90 degrees instead. Do it like that, do create, and then I get a T for this one. So this is an option, how to create sort of these bends, getting them in the correct lengths, while still working with gravity pipes to be able to create these. This is something that is still under work. We're still working with this and seeing what we can do more with it. So if it's something that you're interested in and feel like, well, I want to have sort of input, I have different ideas, contact us and we'll see what happens. So just now, there is something that we want to test out and see what we think about it. So this one is available for you to create these gravity pipes. I also said one of the modify single pipes was one of the new functionalities. I'm going to go over here. I'm just going to show you modify single pipes. You know the modify multiple pipes. I said that the only difference here is that we can select it from upstream. So when I select these upstream, I get this question. Do I want to reverse it? If I do yes, that means I reverse it. Something to remember though, when we set the slope, we still calculate from the first part. So the first part is still the first pipe up here. We're still sort of working downwards. If we don't want to work downwards, we can start from the last part. So you can start from this part if you want that to be that way. It's all up to you. So if I now do, you'll see the profile over here. So if I now start from the last part, set this to 2, do apply, it's going to keep the end over there. So if that is how you want to do it, you can do it like that. But the new functionality is modify single pipe. So modify single pipe selects one pipe, and we get this dialog. So you can have it open while you're still working. So you'll notice that we apply a label on top of these pipes so you can see what's happening. You have different pipe labels here, so you can select which one you want to use. And then we have start elevation, start cover, end elevation, end cover. And you can change any one of these. And as soon as I change it and leave the box, it's applying the change. So if I change the end elevation to 323, we'll see that it comes up here. The reason why it says 2 different things here is because I noticed that the labels here, again, messy machine, the labels here are meters. In the dialog, it says imperial, because it's actually an imperial file, but the labels are meters. So I apologize for that confusion, but that is the reason for it. The slope is easier to understand. But this one is actually showing what the actual pipe is doing. The label is showing something else. I can also move stuff. So I can hold slope here. So I can say that, well, I want to lower this pipe. But I can also use, I can do minus here. So I can say -5. And as soon as I change that one, it's going to lower it by 5 units in this case. So you don't have to sort of calculate on your own. So I can use these, and I can also, of course, use plus if I want to. So I can raise and lower these pipes. And of course, also covers. If I know that I want to have one as cover, I can change that. And of course, it's not applying it. Yeah, we'll check that before we're done. So modify single pipe, we can also connect it to the next one. So if I say drop to next, it's going to move the next one. So if I now say that I want to change the slope, I'm going to do it -3, and then it's going to move the next pipe along with it. So, but everything is sort of concentrated around this pipe, and then everything else is moving with this. So that was the single modify single pipe that we want to do. So apparently I've taken too much time for this one, so I'm going to go over to landscape. Like we said, traffic, I think we're going to do maybe all the traffic in January, but luckily we have that. So for landscape, 2 major things. We have a new functionality called Object Style Library, and we've done some updates for Line Style Library. We've done some fixes around it, so if you've had issues before with the extrude, and if you had issues with block library should be faster right now. But the 2 major things that we have is Object Style and Line Style Library, those 2 functionalities, where Object Style is a brand new function. So the idea around Object Style Library is the same principle as we have with Line Style Library, in that you have a already prepared list of objects that you want to add. In this case, we can do blocks, we can do texts, we can do Kogo points. So you have this stored in a CSV file, and then you can insert those objects already prepared on the layer you want, with the style you want, justification you want, everything like that. So that is the idea behind the Object Style Library. It's the first version. That's why we have blocks, Kogos, texts. In the future, we hope to have more types of objects. Everything that is basically one insertion point is possible to add here. So we'll come more, but this is where we started for this one. The update that we had with Line Style Library is that you can add both pay item and property set, but you can also select just one of them if you want to. You don't have to add both. And we can also add multiple pay items. So if you want to add more pay items, you can define that, separate the pay items with a pipe character, and then we will add more pay items to your object. So you can predefine this in the CSV file that you have as well. You'll also notice that we have these lines here, so we can hide things in this, because this list is a very, very long list. If you're not using everything in here when you create stuff, you can actually hide them and not use those properties. So we can clean it up a little bit so it looks a little bit better when it comes to this one. So, and then, like I said, block library is just a little bit faster if you had issues with that one. So just want to show you very quickly about the object. So Naviate Landscape, Line Style Library, where we create longitudinal, so line, 3D polys, hatches, stuff like that. And then underneath here, we have Object Style Library. And the same as Line Style, where we read a CSV. So we have a CSV file in the background, and that CSV file is available for you to edit. And we're going to do a more examples of this, of course, when we feel we're going to do landscape webinars in the spring. So inside here, I have my CSV file that I'm showing. I have my different objects. I have a type for it. So in this case, it's a block. And then it's a block name. Right now, it's looking for the NV blocks. As soon as I do insert, it's going to use the settings in here and then place the object inside my drawing. And I can repeat it if I want to. When it comes to text, the idea here is that we use a lot of text that we sort of repeat, that we want to use multiple times. So instead of copying that text over, we can predefine it in the CSV, and then we have finished content that we just want to add. And I can also change this in here. It's not going to save it, but I can say that I can change the content before I place it. And as soon as I do insert, I get that text in here, and I can select my rotation for it. But again, as soon as I move away from it, it's not going to save the contents there. So it's just a one-time while we're using it inside here. Right now I have layer 0, but of course I can change it to whatever layer it should be that I want to do in here. So that's object style library. Working on it, it's going to be better in the future when we come to that.
I just want to add there. So the line style, that is the line style library. That is to create linear objects, hatches, line styles, or line types. Setting up your standards, which layers to use, which property sets, and maybe pay items. The object styles, that's everything that has a point object, which is at one point. It's not linear, it's not an area. So that's why we see that as blocks, texts, labels, Kogo points. So anything you do when you plan, maybe a site design, landscape design, if we use the Swedish term detailplan, detailed planning, aerial planning, where you want to have codes, texts, you can combine these. So this we see as a tool where you can actually centralize all your notes, labels, blocks, and everything, and to the correct layer. And we are looking for customers that want to help us set up this as national standards, no matter which country it is. We're interested to have discussions about how to set these up to really work as your standard. Thanks, Caroline.
Yep. Good. So those were the news. Of course, all these news, again, this one is recorded, so you can see it again. All the news will be on our website as soon as we publish it when our marketing person is well again next week. Final thing, final 5 minutes is going to be spent around traffic. So I'm just going to show you the highlights when it comes to traffic. If you feel like this is my jam, this is what I want to see, webinar, January, I'm going to show you everything. But one of the things that we've added is in our sections for our signs, we now have a section surface. So in this case, I'm going to go and I'm going to show you how it looks in the bigger view there. So in this case, I have a portal that I have here, and you'll see this line over here. You can see that the legs are different elevation. So if I go into my manager, and I'm going to edit this one, and I'm going to say that this one should be to a different surface, we'll see that the surface actually moves and the legs move as well. So this actually shows how the surface moves. It's a setting, you don't have to have it, but it's a setting inside here if we want to have a terrain or not. So it's just easy to see. And of course, it is very easy to use this section when we use check sign elevation, where we can check the elevation of the sign so that we have the correct clearance, because I can select it in the section view. So you'll see here that I can actually select a point on the surface, and it's going to show me how it's calculating these. Ref elevation, I can determine what I want to use from. So when we sort of use this sign elevation, it makes sense to have this section view. It just clearly sees what we're actually trying to calculate inside here. So that is one of the things that we've updated and make sure that it actually works. So another thing that we've gotten a lot of requests from that we finally managed to get in is to edit multiple signs. So if I want to change my scale, for instance, on multiple sign holders, I can start this one and I can say that, well, I want to change it on everything, and then underneath additional settings, we can change the scale here and say that these all should be 3 in scale instead. I don't think that's a big difference in this case, but we'll probably see a bit of a difference for them all. So we can apply that change to everything or the selected ones. We can, of course, edit a lot more in here, but I know that the scale was something that we have gotten a request a lot about to do for these signs. So that is actually come where we have edit multiple sign holders. And then we have under insert sign holder, I want to say, we have added we've changed how we handle the scale. So if we go down, right now I'm showing you the US library, which we've done a lot of work for. So just want to change that one. So we have different sizes here. We can have a drop down for the sizes. So it's very easy to select what type of size you want to use, and it's actually remembering the size. So if I say I want to use a conventional road, it's going to try and find the size for a conventional road for all the new signs that I'm using. So it's remembering the size, so we can say normal. So if I just show you an image here, for the Swedish signs, it would look something like this, where you have instead, I'm going to say small normal, but it's actually large. Stor, normal, liten, mycket liten. Same thing there, it's going to try and remember the normal, and it's going to use the normal signs. For the Finnish one, looks the same, where we have also small, normal, and large. I'm not going to try and pronounce it in Finnish, that's just going to embarrass myself. But same thing there, so Sweden, Finland, US, we've all had this, and we've applied these sizings to our signs, and of course also remembering the signs that we want to do. So that was the major thing that we've changed inside the insert sign holder. And one big change for our markings, which we actually have on all our markings, is that we have also a lot more layers. So we can split this up. We can split up the layering or the markings in all the different layers that we want. So we have 2D, 3D, hatches, labels, text, everything like that. So everything can be split up into their own individual. And maybe the major thing that we have on both signs and markings is that we have property set applied automatically. So when it comes to markings, we can see it inside here, where we can add property set to our objects. For signs, we add them automatically. For markings, we have the selection inside here to select the property set to be applied, which also means that we can add pay items much easier, because then we can sort of match our property sets to our pay items. So we've done a lot of work with this, and that goes back to the landscape as well, where we can make sure that we have support for pay items in our functionality. 4 o'clock on the dot. I think I'm done. Have I missed something, Thomas? Do you want to do some finish remark?
No finish remarks. I only know a few words. No. I answered the questions we got here. We got some hoorays. Thank you for that. Any questions you have, you're welcome to reach out to us anytime. And otherwise, let's see, I have one more question I didn't answer. The alignments still are one during the whole process of copy and merge corridor. Corridors only with the same alignment can be copied or merged. Now you can have, you can add a baseline. So, if you have two corridors that run either after each other or beside each other, you can add them to get multiple baselines in the same corridor. So it doesn't have to be the same. In my example, I had a small example, yes, but you can split. Let's say you have a corridor with two baselines and you want to split them into two corridors. You can do that. Or if you have two corridors with different baselines, you can merge them to have that. So both ways. Thanks for that question, Anna.
Yeah. And about the question about the line types, as you can see in my example here, it has trouble with line type, because in Civil's world, these are different lines. So it will not be a continuous line. So
no, that's how it's going to work.
Yeah, it's how it will be. Good. Then I think we're done for today.
Yes, I think so. Welcome to the webinar on Tuesday, the 12th and 16th January, I believe.
Yes, maybe.
I think so.
Sign up for it and you will find the date.
Thanks, guys. See you.